Episode 4 completely changed how I see Agent Kim. Up until now, we've been following a father desperately searching for his missing daughter. But this episode steps back almost 20 years and asks a much bigger question. How do you turn an orphan into the perfect weapon? And did you notice how in this episode, almost nobody calls Mr. Kim by his actual name? He's called number 66, fake 66, asset, operative, traitor, but almost nobody calls him Kim. And I don't think that's accidental because I think episode 4 isn't asking who Agent Kim is. It's asking whether someone who was raised to be nothing more than a weapon can ever become a father instead. Today, I want to dive into what I think is the biggest theme of episode 4, the fight to remain human. Welcome back to TeaHouse Dives. They try to erase his identity. The orphanage scenes are brutal. When Major Ree arrives, he promises food, not family, not purpose, just survival. That immediately tells us what kind of world these children are living in. They get recruited because children are easier to reshape. Every single thing the Major does has one goal: to erase individuality. Then comes one of the most chilling lines in the entire drama: wild animals don't have names. That line explains almost everything. The training isn't simply teaching combat, it's erasing identity. If you don't have a name, you don't have a past. You don't have dreams, you don't have family. You only have orders. That's why I think one of the smallest moments is actually one of the biggest. When number 73 says, "My name is Kim," he barely remembers anything else, but he refuses to let go of that one word. That may actually be his first act of rebellion. Long before becoming a father, long before defecting, he's already resisting becoming an animal. And if number 73 dies, another number simply takes his place. But people can't be replaced. Becoming dad. This episode made me realize something I hadn't considered before. When his wife died, she didn't simply ask him to raise Vinci. She asked him to live as her father, not as Agent 66, not as a soldier, not as an assassin, as dad. Now think about this episode. The North calls him fake 66. South Korea calls him an asset. The government calls him dangerous. But the only identity Mr. Kim is fighting to protect is being Minchi's father. I honestly love this writing because every government sees him as property. Only Minchi allows him to simply be human. Something I really appreciate about how this drama is that it doesn't make Mr. Kim's greatest strength his fighting ability. It makes fatherhood his greatest act of courage. Director Ree created every villain. I think this episode is quietly revealing the true villain. And it isn't Chairman Ju, it's Director General Ree. Think about what he does. He lies to number 66 younger brother. He tells him Agent Kim betrayed his brother. But we watched what really happened. The mission failed. The explosion killed number 66. Director Ree rewrites history. We learn that the real number 66 never treated Kim like an enemy. The competition exists almost entirely inside Kim. 66 was sharing his food. He was encouraging him. He wanted him to be stronger, even though they were competing with each other. The boys never really hated each other. Why? Because 66 still sees him as a fellow orphan. Then we see Director General Ree. He hands the younger brother the number 66 title, not as an honor, but as revenge. He's manufacturing hatred. He's turning brothers into weapons, just like he did with every orphan in that camp. The real enemy was never Agent Kim. The real enemy was the man who convinced everyone who their enemy should be. Three men trying to escape their past. One thing I loved about this episode is how it parallels three completely different men: Mr. Kim, Golden Teeth, and Chairman Ju. All three are products of violence, but each chooses a different path. Mr. Kim fights because he loves someone. Golden Teeth fights because he refuses to be powerless ever again. Chairman Ju fights because power has become who he is. That's why I don't think Golden Teeth is just another gangster. His flashbacks explains why he cannot stand being treated like someone's dog. The hot potato story suddenly makes sense. He's trying to bite back after spending years being forced to obey. That doesn't justify what he does, but it explains him. He spent his entire life surviving stronger men. His old boss trying to kill him. The chairman broke him. The hot potato story isn't just about torture, it's about ownership. He was being trained exactly the way the major trained those boys. Different countries, different organizations, exactly the same philosophy. And TeaHouse Dives is all about understanding characters, not excusing them. The freezer. Minji spends most of the episode inside a freezer. On the surface, that's simply suspense. But I think it also works symbolically. She's literally frozen between life and death, between hope and despair. As long as she's alive, Mr. Kim still has hope. The freezer becomes the clock. Mr. Kim can't wait. The chairman can't wait. Golden Teeth can't wait. The younger brother can't wait either. Every character suddenly has a deadline. Every minute she remains inside, time is running out. It forces every decision Mr. Kim makes. Three storms are about to collide. By the end of this episode, three different forces are heading towards the same place. Mr. Kim trying to save his daughter, Chairman Ju arriving with an army to eliminate the evidence, the younger brother following the phone tracker because revenge has blinded him. None of these people know the full picture, which makes episode 5 feel less like a rescue and more like a collision course. Episode 4 convinced me that Agent Kim Reactivated isn't really about spies, it's about identity. One government tries to erase it. A gangster spends his life trying to reclaim it. A father refuses to let go of it. And somewhere inside a freezing warehouse, a teenage girl becomes the reason every one of those stories collide. Can someone raised without a name become a father? Can someone treated like a weapon choose love instead of violence? Can someone ever escape the person other people insist they are? For me, that's what makes this drama so compelling. The action is fantastic, but it's the people underneath the action that keep me coming back every week. I love to hear what stood out to you the most from this episode. Was it the heartbreaking orphanage training, Golden Teeth backstory, or the realization that everyone is racing towards the same destination? This episode made me think about how easy it is to define ourselves by the labels other people gives us. Our job, our past, our mistakes. Kim was giving a number, a role, and an identity as a weapon. But the one identity he chose for himself was dad. Sometimes the most powerful act isn't becoming someone new, it's refusing to let the world decide who you are. If you enjoyed this deep dive, subscribe to Tea House Dives, and I'll see you for episode 5.